Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about gentle skincare, sometimes self-care, and today we're talking October favorites, the video where I share with you all the skincare and beauty products that made a big impression on me this month. So if you're so ready to dive into the faves, give the video a big thumbs up and let's get started. Stratia Aqua Factory. OMG, Stratia released a hydrating toner. The brand did actually send this to me just prior to their launch date at the beginning of October. So, and I got it in the mail. I was really excited. And the first thing I did was look at the ingredients list, right? And it is, short and sweet and simple, but OMG, there's some great stuff in here. It's a real masterclass in humectants. They are using urea, one of my favorite hydrating ingredients. Doesn't get enough love. It's a natural moisturizing factor, so it actually really helps to support skin health. It really hydrates the skin, and it's quite soothing as well. They're using panthenol. Now, this is such a goodie, especially if you do have dehydrated skin. You need to know about this humectant because not only does it hydrate the skin and relieve the dehydration symptoms, but it also helps to strengthen your moisture barrier. It fortifies the lipid layer within the skin, and that's what helps to keep the hydration in your skin and resist the dehydration, where the hydration escapes out of the barrier and then evaporates off of the skin, right, and causing that tight feeling deep in your skin. Panthenol soothes the dehydration, the tightness, but it also helps to fortify that lipid barrier so you can hang on to more of your hydration for longer. So double acting humectant, and definitely really key, like I said, for those who are suffering with dehydration or barrier issues. They're also using sodium PCA, a glycerin. They're using beta glucan, which is a really interesting humectant. It does bring deep hydration, but it generally has a little bit more slip and a little bit more body to it. And it's particularly nice if you're looking for a hydration effect that plumps your skin out just a little bit. And then they're also using sodium hyaluronate, another ingredient that helps to plump the skin out just a little bit. So it all comes together in this watery, very liquidy, runny type of toner, but you see there's just a touch of body here, just a little roundness to this, and that definitely helps to plump out the skin. It's got great absorbency. It feels really refreshing and hydrating and cooling on the skin, very balancing to the skin with just a tiny little bit of plumpness, but it's not sticky, where some of the plumping toners can sometimes get a little too thick and a little too all my fingers are sticking, to my face as I'm patting this in. I personally like to layer my toner at least 2 times, sometimes 3 times. I do 2 layers with this, and it layers right on top of itself beautifully, and it plays really well with the rest of my skincare routine. It's slotted in effortlessly. I didn't have to change anything around, and the hydration is very good here because it kept my skin hydrated throughout the day. That's really the key too with these hydrating toners, is does the hydration last throughout the day? And because this is smartly formulated with all the different humectants, but particularly the ones that help to hug the hydration in place, like the panthenol and the beta glucan, it really is a long-lasting hydration. It is a little bit of a smaller bottle, I will admit. It's about 120 milliliter of toner, and for me, it's just, I'm greedy, you know what I mean? I want the biggest bottles possible because, like I said, I like to layer my toner up. I use it morning and nighttime. I probably put too much on, quite honestly. I'm very generous in my application and in my shake. I'm greedy. I want a larger size, but I'm not mad at the smaller size, you know what I'm saying? And quite honestly, I think it's always a balance for brands to, create the best formula, right? And to package it the right way with a price that feels fair, you know what I'm saying, for everybody, right? And I think that is increasingly difficult in this economy, to create really good formulas, right? With really driven by the ingredients in the right type of packaging and the right type of quantity with a value that works for both sides of the equation. I think that's why we're seeing so many reformulations over the last couple of years. I think it is truly due to cost. And so it's almost easier to change the formula to bring the cost down of manufacturing than it is to raise the price on the consumer. with Stratia being such a small brand, right, I really, really respect that they've been able to keep this on the affordable side at about $16 for this bottle, and really still be ingredient driven, right? So I do believe that they've done quite a bit to balance out the value here. And yeah, I also recently learned that they took about 4 years to develop this. And I think that it shows. I think it is a really smartly thought out product, not just from the formula and from the texture and the feel and the quality and the experience of it, but also I think in the value that we're receiving as well. And I just have mad respect for that, because it's not an easy economy these days, right? So I was a little nervous, but I didn't need to be, because they delivered yet again. Let's talk about VT PDRN Essence. Now, this is such an interesting product because, first of all, the ingredient is extremely intriguing to me. And I think the way that I came around to this product too, there's like such an interesting sort of story. So where to start? Let's start with PDRN, because you've probably heard about this. It's really exploding in popularity in the K-beauty scene. And this is actually an ingredient that people are getting in-office treatments for to inject deep into their skin. PDRN is a shortened version of polydeoxide ribonucleotide. And so this is actually a DNA polymer that can help stimulate collagen. It boosts fibroblast production and can help with wound healing and scar healing. So it really just rejuvenates the skin. It helps the skin act in a more youthful manner. It can bring all kinds of benefits: skin elasticity, address fine lines and wrinkles, firmness, liftedness to the skin. And it often, but not always, is derived from salmon sperm. And I have to say, I don't know where I draw the line, but I think we're getting pretty darn close with salmon sperm. That's kind of, there's like an ick factor there. A snail doesn't bother me, but salmon sperm. How far will you go? Luckily, I don't have to go too far. VT is doing a vegan version of the DNA polymer from ginseng, not salmon testes. Thank goodness. With the ginseng-derived PDRN, we get the collagen-stimulating benefits and the wound healing and skin regenerative qualities, but we're also getting antioxidants, we're also getting anti-inflammatory benefits, and skin elasticity benefits, because, you know, ginseng does have a strong association with well-aging in Asian beauty, especially for skin elasticity, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of different PDRN products out there, and I will say this actually wasn't the first one I used. The first one was also from VT, and it was the PDRN Riedel shots. The Riedels have come back to play. This is a development I was not expecting, because if you remember at the beginning of 2024, I did a review on the Cica Riedel shot from VT, and I did not have a very good experience with that product. I was like, I get it. I get why people like it. It's just not for me. It just really does not tickle my fancy, and in fact, it kind of irritates my skin. And in that video, I hypothesized it's just not right for my skin type, which is sensitive. I'm prone to, you know, sensitivity and inflammation. I have to be very careful about what I put on my skin. But also, I was using my tretinoin prescription still at that point in time, and I just could not figure out how to get Riedel into my routine and use my tretinoin. Like, it was all just too much. And I said that very clearly in the video, that is likely what the case was for me. However, as I shared in last month's favorite and throughout quite a bit of content over the last couple of months, I actually stopped using tretinoin back in the end of the spring. So it's been about 6 full months. I think we're going to a 7th month now. It's been a hot second. And so I have said the reason why I did that, like, no shade to tretinoin. I love the ingredient. However, as the Riedel shot review kind of demonstrated to me especially, it's really keeping me from being able to review certain types of products that I would like to talk about here on my channel. So anyways, I decided to try the Riedel shot with the PDRN. And this really surprised me that it didn't bother my skin. I was like, hey, what is this? So the Riedel shot is interesting because it's almost like mimicking what people are doing with those in-office treatments by injecting PDRN into their skin. Riedels, if you're not familiar, it's this technology within the serum that actually opens pathways up in your skin. They're not like actual needles, but they're like spicules with the active ingredient in them that penetrate deeper into the skin. And then, you know, not only get the active ingredient deeper, deeper, but just kind of opens up your skin overall to receive the skincare and really anything else that you put on top of it to help it become more effective. So there is definitely a little bit of a pain element, a little bit of a prickly sensation with this. So earlier in the month, I watched this Japanese horror movie called Audition. It's like a real classic of J-horror. I finally watched it for the first time. And I'm not going to give too much away, but at the end, the lady is like torturing the protagonist by sticking needles into him. But she's like taunting him and teasing him, and she's sticking these needles into this dude, and she's saying in Japanese, but she's saying deeper, 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 but she's saying it in this like really like high pitched, like childish voice. It's really hard for me to mimic this, but it's like kitty 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 kitty, and it's like super creepy and like very off-putting, like so disturbing. And so when I was putting the Riedel on my face after just watching that movie, I was like kitty 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 kitty, ah. It doesn't hurt that bad. And I actually find that the PDRN Riedel, because it's a thick cream, it actually doesn't prickle my skin as much as the original Cica shot did. I feel like I got some really nice immediate benefits from using it because I haven't been using it consistently. I haven't quite figured out if I want to keep using it or not. It's just been more of like a play, like playing with it and testing it. But I noticed that my skin looked more like lit from within, more rejuvenated. It was a lot smoother just on one use. My makeup applied a lot smoother too. Like I was just like, hey, and my skin felt firmer as well. And I was like, okay, a legit is a PDRN because I was definitely not getting those benefits with Cica Riedel. I'm really into this ingredient. I'm just not sure if I want to go deeper, deeper, deeper into my skin all the time, right? And so I saw that they have an Essence version without the Riedels. I can use this morning and nighttime. I don't have to worry about that, right? So I can keep getting constant, consistent PDRN into my skincare routine without the needles, without the Riedels, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of what I noticed with this is like just like a more rejuvenated look to my skin. I feel like I've made some really good progress with my skin over the last couple of months, and this is just kind of taking it like that next little inch and that next little baby step forward. It's like really adding to my overall routine with all my actives. But like I said, this is not an aggressive product, so I can use this morning and nighttime. It pairs with retinoids. It pairs with all different types of ingredients. Like it's just easy. It's also creamy and moisturizing in texture too, so it's perfect for the colder weather now that we're getting. So I'm very excited about this ingredient. Shout out to Tula Filter Primer. I did not think I was going to like this as much as I do. This is a makeup primer. It is, but it's one of those makeup products that feels like it is a beautiful collaboration with makeup and skincare. It feels like a skincare product, but I think the reason that I've really fallen in love with this is it's not just something that feels good, but it actually performs well. I've been using it as my primer for quite a while now. I'm using it today under my Full Face of foundation, and it really does help everything grip to the skin and last a really nice time, but it also really smooths the skin. I think, I tend to have a little bit more visible pores around this area, and you know what? Everybody does. I've realized that like we see so much like poreless content on the internet now, right? That we forget that it's actually quite natural to see your pores with your naked eye. So if you feel the same way, don't worry, you're doing fine, right? It's normal and it's good. You have pores, you need them. They work for you. But they can sometimes be a little bit more noticeable when I put foundation on, right? And so I feel like this primer helps to smooth that so that it doesn't look as orange peely, right? So really nice smoothing effect to this, a good gripping effect. It makes my makeup last a long time. But what I think I really like about this is, I guess, this filtering effect that they're talking about, because there's a little bit of pigment in each one. I got the one that the color is called Luna. I went for that one because it was the lightest one, and I've just had a really bad track record with stuff that's a little bit more medium, going like orange on me, oxidizing, and just like not combining well with my skin tone. So this one worked out pretty good. There's just a touch, just a little bit of pigment to it, and then there's some light reflecting particles in it as well. And so that actually makes it, yes, something great underneath your makeup, just kind of enhances your base makeup, right? Makes it smooth, makes it bright. But it also works well if you don't want to wear base makeup, like a full face of foundation. Just put this on and you get a little color, not a lot. It's not a lot. And I think, depending on your skin tone and which color color you choose, you might get a little bit more than I'm getting. I'm not getting a lot, but that light reflecting particle quality of this actually really smooths my skin out and makes it look really bright. I do have some hyperpigmentation and some sun freckling on my skin, and this just kind of helps to neutralize a lot of that. Doesn't cover it completely, but it just neutralizes it. So when you're like, yeah, I definitely want to like perk my skin up, you put this on and you're like, oh, okay, I feel fresh, my skin feels breathable. But yeah, it's looking a little bit better. And then if you're like me, I personally, I'm wearing full foundation today, but like if I was just doing my normal like 5-minute beat, I would actually just use concealer. And this kind of enhances that type of technique as well. Just a little bit of concealer around any hyperpigmentation or any, redness around my face. With this primer underneath, your skin is going to look so beautiful, so lit from within, so even and natural. And I really like that natural look. And so this really provides that, but also doubles as an effective primer for more of a full face foundation too. So anyways, I just think it's a goodie. It is fragrance free. It's not irritating. It doesn't make my skin itchy. It actually makes my skin look great. And yeah, I got to shout it out because it's awesome. And United States peeps, we only have a few days left. Don't forget to vote. So for this month's self-care corner, I want to talk about pouring back into yourself, which is just a nice way to talk about like self-care, right? Because I will say like we're pushing towards the end of the year, right? And this is a pretty stressful time for a lot of people for a multitude of reasons. I mean, I'm going to be real with you, like here in the US, like we have the election coming up. That is extremely stressful. And I know a lot of people are feeling the stress and the anxiety of that for sure. We have the holidays coming up, right? And there's so much demand like on our time, but I think especially on like what roles that we play within our family too. You may feel a lot of stress to create a great holiday environment for your partner, for your children, or showing up for your family. Maybe it's one of the few times you actually get to connect with your family, right? Maybe you're a student and you're really pushing to the end of that semester and getting all those finals and papers and all of that out of the way, right? Maybe it's the busiest time of year for you at your job, right? It could be a lot. There's a lot of maybe all of those things at once for you even. Oof. Definitely. It is a great time of year. It's an exciting time of year, but it can be extremely stressful and really depleting of your energy, especially like I said, because it's definitely a time of giving of your time, giving of yourself, giving of your heart, right? And you want to be able to show up in that way. But it's hard to be generous, right? With others when you're not being generous with yourself. What do they say? It's like, you have to fill your cup. It must be overflowing in order for you to give to others. And so, yeah, we really have to be conscious of how we pour our energy and our heart into others and how we're replenishing that for ourselves, especially at this time of year when it's so easy to ignore that component because there's just not any time, right? It's just like returning back to yourself, pouring back into your heart. It's those self-care practices. And for me, for the longest time, I always just like relied on like one or two things to like be my self-care and get me through. And for a lot of times it was skincare, right? Or like taking a hot bath on a Sunday before, to like relieve the Sunday scaries and before I started my week, right? But I've also been learning that I need some snack-sized self-care throughout the day even to really help keep myself planted and energized and rejuvenated and recharged, right? And so like I've talked about, little meditation moments, mindful moments, journaling can be very helpful for just kind of getting out some of your worries and fears that are just like clogging up your mind, right? Just get them onto a paper, close it up and put it into a drawer. But learning how to build those in during this really busy season. And don't forget, right, to pour back into yourself, because eventually when you're constantly pouring into others, eventually we run out if we're not like generating it again within ourselves. And so this is that time where I see a lot of people be extremely generous with others, but not generous with themselves. And I've fallen into the trap too, right? So don't forget, pour back into yourself. Be generous with yourself. It's not selfish, right? It's self-care. And take care, and be mindful of your stress levels and energy levels as we get to the end of the year, so we can really enjoy this fantastic time. So I'm curious if you had a favorite product or even a lesson that you learned in October. Let me know in the comments below. If you love this video, you stayed till the end and you haven't hit subscribe yet, please, I'd be so honored if you would hit subscribe. Come join our community, turn on notifications so you're never out of the loop. I'm very active here on YouTube. I really do hope that you are healthy, that you're happy, that you're safe. I really mean that in the deepest sense of all of those words. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm excited to continue to move forward to the end of 2024 with you. I'll see you in November. Bye. So if you have a favorite product or lesson that you learned in October, share with us all in the comments below. Now, if you love the video, you watched it all the way up to this point and you haven't hit subscribe yet, please come join our community. Turn on notifications so you're never out of the loop. I'm very active here on YouTube. I really do hope that you are healthy, happy, and safe wherever you are in the world. And I mean that from the deepest sense of all of those words. I really do hope that for you, and I'm really excited to, move forward through this year with you. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. I love you so much. Bye.